Hey, yo, what up? It's Mind Scene. Just doing the first video in my web series. The first thing I wanted to talk about was education because I believe it's probably the single most important thing that we can discuss with relations to where our country's headed and where it could and should be headed, in my opinion. I want to talk about things that affect everybody over the course of history. Education is a huge one. The education system that we have now is pretty pitiful, to be honest with you. And I'm gonna try and talk to you as candidly as I can, as if you were sitting right there with me, listening to what I had to say, as if it matters anyways. Which, I mean, maybe it will. I think that one person can make a small change. Maybe I can enlighten or urge people or motivate people to go make a change in their community, because our education system is pretty terrible. They're going to be roughly 15, maybe a few more videos that I'm going to post over this little web series over the next, I don't know, few weeks to a few months, depending on how long it takes me to do them. But with regards to our education system, there are a lot of problems. One of the biggest problems with the education system is the way our students are taught. I think it's an incorrect thing. Like Common Core is ridiculous. I don't know if you've ever seen Common Core, but the way they do math and they're learning, there's a lot that is to be lacked with the way kids learn it. Instead of trying to help children learn to expand their minds and think for themselves, essentially they just reverberate facts that the teacher spits out at them. I mean, it doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. That doesn't make you smarter as a human being, to learn something. In the third grade, I've got 5 children of my own, so I've got kids age range 2 to age 13, and I think it's ridiculous that they're not actually learning stuff. I mean, I don't know about you, but I can't remember back to the third grade, what they learned about, various things, because they teach you to spit out facts as if that somehow makes you a smarter person, which it doesn't. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that memorization is a good part of how you should learn, but the way they teach these kids, the classrooms are huge. In a lot of, especially inner city schools, because they don't give a damn about most of these students. They know that they're just going to push them through the education system, just to get them out. They don't want to leave these kids behind or whatever. They're not actually teaching them anything of any value, any real value. Some of the things that are wrong with the education system is, and this has to do with later in life with college. I personally, I'm a Bernie Sanders, fan. So whether you like Trump or whoever, Hillary Clinton, whatever, I think that all kids should be able to go to a state or community college and get free education. I paid for my education. I went to Middle Tennessee State University, pretty large, in fact, the largest university student-wise in Tennessee. And I feel like if you want a basic education beyond just what the elementary and middle school and high school is going to be able to give you, because you want to actually be productive in society, you should have that opportunity. I know that I went for a few years, and you're talking just at a regular school, in-state school, because I'm originally from Nashville. You come out of school with these huge bills, several tens of thousands of dollars just to get an education that may or may not help you in the future. I think that everybody should be allowed to go to a state or a junior college or a community college and get an associate's degree because they want to expound on their education. But it's got to start from kindergarten and first grade and work its way all the way up. Our education system is properly improperly run. It's way underfunded. And we don't produce the type of results that other countries like Japan and Germany and these other countries. We used to pride ourselves on being number one in education. Well, we're not that anymore. Trust me, we're way down the line when it comes to the education of our children in our country. It's actually pretty pitiful. They don't teach you to think for yourselves. They want you to be a drone and repeat back facts that you've learned on these tests. That doesn't teach you to do anything productive. Okay, you can't do anything productive with the way our system is. It's set up to fail. A lot of the way our country is run now is it's set up to fail. You have these kids they're going to go through school. They're not going to learn anything. They're going to get out of school and then they're going to go work at McDonald's, or they're going to go work at something that has nothing to do with anything to help anybody. Okay, they're going to go make minimum wage somewhere. A majority of them, a very small percentage gets to go on to higher education and be productive members. So we've got to work on how our kids are being educated. Get rid of things like Common Core. Start making classrooms smaller. So adding more teachers and better teachers. I think tenure is the most ridiculous thing that you could possibly have. It's basically like saying, hey, if you sit here and put up with these kids long enough, you can basically fuck off and not do anything to help society. We've got classrooms with upwards of 50 students in a lot of cases, and you can't teach kids in that capacity. It just doesn't work. Our system is way beyond helping folks if it stays the way it is. We need to work on funding for schools. A lot of inner city schools where there are brilliant kids, and I'm not talking about just black kids or Hispanic kids or whatever, because but a lot of these inner city schools, no matter what color your skin is, you're not going to get the education, you're not going to get the opportunity that someone at, say, I went to Hendersonville High School, okay, pretty good high school, not an inner city school, obviously, and I received a pretty good education. Our classes weren't huge. We maybe had 20 to 24 students or so in a classroom, so you actually had the opportunity to learn. But you've got these inner city schools that they've got huge classrooms. Well, one teacher, and possibly a teacher's aide can't teach 50 students what they need. They can't, give them a hands-on learning experience to engage these students, because the way the system is set up right now is they don't want to engage students. They want to just pass them along to the next, to the next teacher, to the next grade level. If I were a teacher, I would want each one of my students to want to have that drive to learn, and I understand that every situation is different with every student. They may come from a bad home, or they may have learning disabilities. But the thing is when you've got 50 students, you can't, customize your educating abilities to all the students. If you cut it down, you had 15 students, in a middle school class, you can go through and you can one-on-one with those students and help them and actually teach them things and enrich their lives. So the way the system is set up right now is it's set up to just fulfill a requirement. That's essentially what it is. Hey, here's your requirement. Here's what you have to learn to fulfill it, and see you, go on to the next grade level. So it's a pretty pitiful system. We need to try and work on ways to fix the system and make it better. Write your congressman, write your senator, write anybody that you think, your school board. Tell them you're unhappy with the way the situation is for the school system, because that's the only way things are going to get done. If you leave it up to these politicians, things are not going to get done. They're just going to stay stagnant. No, children aren't going to learn. They're going to live in the same system, and they're not going to be able to think for themselves. Okay, if you want to make a great country, it starts with education. That is the foundation of how our country should be built. If you want to be number one again, America, then we need to start, practicing like we intend to play. And education is where it all starts. So, feel free to leave comments, subscribe. I'd be glad to answer any questions that anybody might have about my views on education, and continue to watch my videos that I'm going to post in the future, regarding the situation that we live in. And America, as always, pay attention and help other people every day.